guys, how's everybody doing today? It is Saturday, January the 27th. And sorry that I didn't have an intro to yesterday's video. I put everything together, I edited it all in, and I had an intro done. But for some reason, I just forgot to put that in there. I was really rushing yesterday to get everything put together. I had to pick my kids up from school, and in the process, I just was moving too fast and wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. I already had the film that it had it all edited together with the beginning with the logo and everything and the ending, and I just figured I need to get this video up. So I started uploading it, and I had to leave the house, and I was trying to upload the video with my mobile network while I was sitting in car line yesterday afternoon, and it just took forever. It didn't finish uploading until I got home and connected onto the Wi-Fi here at my house. So sorry that the video got up as late as it did yesterday. I really wanted to have that video up early, but it just didn't work out. And I figured if I had to go back, re-edit it, and reprocess everything, it was just going to be even later until that got up. So I'm going to go ahead and do the movie suggestions that I had in yesterday's video and a couple of other movie suggestions that I've gotten from the video from yesterday. And got a couple other things I want to touch on really quick, and then I'm going to go into the third part of this interview. There's going to be one more part to this. I think you'll find these last two parts to be really interesting. We really kind of dive deep into some stuff on here. I know that the last part of this of these interviews is where I asked my mom the questions that you guys had for her. So be on the lookout for that tomorrow. My mom had some really interesting things to say in the last part. I did ask her too in the last part of the interview a couple of other questions that you guys didn't have. And one of them that I asked is, one of the subscribers here is a nursing instructor, and she's been using one of the videos that I did for her class, and I just thought it'd be really interesting to get my mom's perspective and give some advice to new nursing students that are about to go out into the real world. How to deal with somebody that's in my position or in any position really. But I just wanted her to give a little bit of advice. My mom was a nurse for 33 years, and I think you'll find that last one to be really interesting, especially if you're in nursing school, about to graduate, or you're already a nurse. I think that you'll find what she had to say to be quite interesting. But anyway, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into this. I do want to say as well, I hate to tell you guys this, but I was going to do my interview with Sammy yesterday. Sammy texted me the night before yesterday on Thursday night and told me that he wasn't feeling very well, and that he had come down with the stomach virus. His family was all sick as well. So we had to reschedule that. I've had so many GI problems and so much bleeding and everything. Anytime I've ever gotten sick, I've ruptured varices. And he was, throwing up and all that stuff. And I just thought that it would not be a good idea for us to be around each other. So I wanted to make sure that he's better first because we're going to do the interview together. We're not going to do it over Zoom or anything. Sammy lives in the town like I do. And we're actually going to sit down together and film that. And I just wanted to make sure that he is no longer sick before we talk. So that will be this week. I think we rescheduled for Tuesday. As long as everything works out, we're going to sit down and talk on Tuesday. And then I've got my interview with David on Monday. So the last part of this interview series will be tomorrow. And then I'll probably just do a regular video on Monday. And then the interview with David, that's going to take me a little bit to put together. So I'll probably post that up on Tuesday and kind of break that up as well, just depending on how long that goes. And then after that is done, I'll have Sammy's interview up too. So just be on the lookout for that. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up where that, what's going on with those interviews. And like I said, Sammy's is just going to be a little bit later than I thought it was going to be. So I apologize about that. I really wanted to be able to have that interview up, but just things happen. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and go into these movie suggestions. I figured, especially on a Saturday, this is like a really good time for movie suggestions. Everybody's off on the weekend. These are the times when we really struggle with cravings. We're out and about, and there's just drinking is normally happens on weekends, and these are the times that you really got to keep your mind busy. So I wanted to go ahead and make sure I get these movie suggestions in for today. So starting off today, I got Teresa Hall 7781 recommended The Shut-In and In Their Skin. Both of these movies are on Tubi, so that is completely free. You do not have to pay for a subscription service to watch those videos. David recommended Mr. Church with Eddie Murphy, They Live, which is on Tubi. And if you guys have never seen They Live, it's an older movie, but man, is it so relevant to the times that we're living in now. I think it was made in the 80s. But that movie is just so relevant to the times that we're living in now. If you have not seen that movie, go check that out. It is so interesting. It's got what's that guy's name? Roddy Piper was, I think is his name, was the lead role in that movie. That it's just a really good movie. Way ahead of his time. The Age of Adeline, I'm not exactly sure. I think he said it's on Tubi, but I'm not exactly sure. But he said that's a really good one as well. Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood, another great movie. I can highly suggest that one. And Porky's. I remember watching that movie when I was a kid, and that was the one we were not supposed to watch. And there is a lot of nudity in that movie, and I think that's why we watched it when I was younger. But funny movie, classic comedy. So if you've never seen that one, check that one out. Jennifer Rivera, 5461, recommended a movie called Less Than Zero with Robert Downey Jr. She said that's a great movie. I've never seen it, but I'm gonna have to check that one out. Laura Infinity, 1390, recommended Shining Vale with Courtney Cox. She said that is great. So definitely check that one out. I know I'm going to. Trippy Seeds and Deeds recommended Requiem for a Dream, and David actually recommended that one as well. I had actually made the intro to yesterday's video and recommended that. That's why I went ahead and put that one here. But that's another good movie that has to deal with addiction, and I think you'll find that movie rather interesting if you've not seen it. It can be a little bit depressing, especially towards the end. But it definitely brings some insight into addiction, especially prescription pills and things like that. Jeff Burns, 1980, recommended a movie called True Romance with Christian Slater and Brad Pitt. I have yet to see that movie. He recommended it to me actually the other day, and I looked for it, and I can't find it streaming anywhere for free. But I'm definitely going to go ahead and rent that because he said it's such a really good movie, and it's an older one. I think it was filmed in like 1992, but I'm going to check that one out for sure. Myself, I have, and these are all on Netflix. And the one I have here is Parenthood with Steve Martin. That is a really funny comedy movie. If you have kids, and especially teenagers, man, is this so relevant. Another classic movie, I'm sure everybody here has seen it, but I just wanted to bring it up because you can watch it for free, is The Burbs. Another great movie with Tom Hanks. Man, that's one of those movies I just, a lot of these movies are those movies that you just go to over and over again when you're having a bad day, and this is one of those movies that I will go watch when I'm having a bad one. And I've seen that movie so many times, and it just cheers me up every time I watch it. Also is a television show called Disenchantment that's on Netflix. If you've never seen that, I actually watched that whole all the seasons back in 2022 Christmas time. I was really sick at that period of time. I couldn't do much at all, and my kids were home for 2 weeks for the Christmas break, and we found that on Netflix and started watching it. And it's got some parts in it that aren't, exactly kid friendly, but it for the most part it is. There's just a couple of things in there that just aren't that appropriate, but I found that show. It's more of an adult cartoon, but I think it's made by the same people that did The Simpsons, but I'm not quite sure on that. But it's a really funny show, and I enjoyed it a lot. Another classic that's on there right now that you can watch is Jurassic Park. If you haven't seen that movie in a long time, go back and watch it. My kids love all of the Jurassic Park movies. I have seen them so many times. We own all of them. And just the first Jurassic Park, I remember going to the movie theater and seeing that movie. It is just a classic. It's so good. The next one I have is Stand By Me with Corey Feldman and River Phoenix. Another classic movie if you haven't seen that. And speaking of Corey Feldman, there is a whole lot of stuff going on right now on YouTube. I don't know how recently he came out with that song, but there's a song called I'm the Comeback King, and there's so many YouTubers making videos about that right now. If you have not watched that music video, just go watch it. He obviously is a huge Michael Jackson fan. I know the two of them were friends back in the day, but man, he is trying so hard to be Michael Jackson now. And I'm sorry, Corey, but you're not. But anyway, just go check it out. It's really interesting. Another one I have is 7 Years in Tibet. That's Brad Pitt, another great movie. And another one that there's a documentary that's on Netflix that I found very interesting. It's a documentary called Take Your Pill, Xanax. That is a very eye-opening documentary. I had no idea the amount of people in America that are prescribed that these days. I've only taken Xanax one time. I took it right before a procedure. I was really anxious, and they gave it to me. I don't remember a lot about how it felt because I just went into surgery not too much longer after that, but there are a lot of people who take that, and it seems like it's a very, very addictive drug to take, and it's causing a lot of problems here in America and probably across the world. But if you're interested, definitely check that documentary out. I found it to be very, very interesting. I did want to go ahead real quick and give a shout out real fast, and that's to Jersey Girl. She let me know yesterday in the comments that all the money that she saved from her from not drinking, she went out and bought herself a brand new pair of Timberland boots, and I just thought that is the neatest thing. You're saving money and buying something that you don't regret, and that is just so cool. So shout out, Jersey Girl. It's good for you. I'm so glad to hear that. And last but not least, I want to give a podcast recommendation before I get off of here. And the podcast recommendation for today is the Snowplow Show. That is on Spotify. And I'm telling you, anytime I'm having a bad day and I just need something to pick me up and make me laugh, put a smile on my face, the Snowplow Show is a prank call show. And the guy just calls around. He's never mean to anybody. He just does really silly stuff. Definitely go check that out. Once again, that's the Snowplow Show, and it's on Spotify. You can listen to him for free. I highly, highly recommend that show. Check that one out. You will love that podcast. I promise you, it is so hilarious. But with that said, guys, that's it for today. I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here and start the interview. Sorry about that beeping noise that just happened just now. That's my blood sugar. It's like really, really low. I haven't had anything to eat yet today, and it was giving me a warning, but I forgot to turn the volume off of my phone, so apologize about that. I don't want to refilm all this. I'm going to go ahead and get this all edited together and get this up for you guys so you can watch it today. So I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching all these videos and all the nice comments you guys have been saying about my mom. That really means so much to me, and I know it means a lot to her as well. She's been going and looking in the comment section, and she's seen all the wonderful things that you guys have been saying, and I know that has really made her day. And thank you so much, guys. You guys are so awesome. I really appreciate you all so much. So with that said, have a great weekend this weekend, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye-bye. All right, so here we are moving into another part of this series here with my mom, talking about, you know, we just were discussing the TIPS procedure that I had. What do you remember from that time? What were you going through, seeing all that happen, and then the fact that it didn't work out?
Well, that was a scary time for me personally. I mean, you wondering what's going to happen, what the future holds, and I kept thinking, especially after having been told up in Colombia that you might have a year, and here we were, you know, doing this, I was thinking, what am I going to do if I lose him? You know, parents aren't supposed to bury their children, and I was so afraid. I was just terrified that I was going to lose you through all of this.
Yeah, I'll never forget too. You know, I'm thinking that this procedure is going to work out, and I was so excited about it because the doctors had told me this is really going to help prolong my life, and then it failed, and I'll never forget, you know, my wife coming down with her mom, and she had the kids with her, and they came in there to see me, and I wasn't successful, and I didn't know what to say. I just didn't know what to do. I couldn't tell my kids, you know, hey, your dad was about to have this life-saving surgery, but it didn't work out. We never told our children any of this, and they still, to this day, they still don't know everything. They've never been told, except for my daughter is the only one that knows. And
right.
I was in the hospital, laying in the bed, and my wife and I had talked about it, and she didn't want me to tell my daughter, but at this point my daughter was 18 years old, and I felt like it wasn't fair for me to hide something like that from her. I just felt like she was old enough to understand. I knew that it was going to be hard for her, but I felt like not telling her the truth and lying about it just wasn't the way to go. And I called her and told her that the surgery was supposed to work out and it was going to save my life, and it didn't work out. And I told my wife that I'd done it, and she got really upset with me because I did something that I said I wasn't going to do, but I just felt like it was the right thing to do to tell her. So I got out of the hospital after that, came home, and that was another 2 weeks in the hospital that time.
It was.
I came home from that 2 week stint in the hospital, and knew that the surgery didn't work out. So at this point, it was just basically day by day, just kind of, I really didn't have any goals in mind except spend as much time with my family as I could. But there was no real optimistic outlook for the future for me at that point. I mean, they basically told me that they could only attempt that surgery like 2 times.
Well, he said he wouldn't go back in and attempt it again.
Yeah, but they had told me that they could only do that surgery like twice.
Right.
Because they're going through your liver, and they can only run that needle through there like 2 times or something. But he said, the doctor told me, I'm sorry, but I'm just not going to try again. I tried to get through there the best I could. There was just no way to get through. And so now I come home, and I'm just kind of living my life thinking I've only got a few months left to live.
And you were very depressed.
Very, very depressed. And that was when, you know, I spent a lot of time crying, just thinking about, you know, my ultimate demise. I spent a lot of time thinking about that, you know, that this is going to be it. And I've caused all these problems to myself because I drank so much that I put myself in this position. So then time goes on, and we were supposed to go to Disney World that October of the year before.
When you got sick
When
and
I
was
got
in the
sick.
hospital.
Yeah, I was in the hospital. We were supposed to be going to Disney World, and of course I was in the hospital, so we couldn't go. So my wife called and tried to cancel the reservations, and they wouldn't refund our money, but they said that you can reschedule, which we did for April of last year. And we pretty much knew this was going to be our last trip as a family together, and you know, so we went down to Disney World, spent a week down there, and I'll never forget because my father-in-law came down there with us, and the whole time we're down there, he kept saying, "I've never seen you have this much energy. You seem better than you ever were." And that was because back then I was always hungover or drunk, and I cooked for everybody the whole time that we were there. But I never made it a whole day at any one of the parks. I had to leave early every time we were there. I mean, I remember specifically being in the Animal Kingdom and getting very sick. We had gone and had lunch, and I never eat during the daytime. I only drink protein shakes because I end up getting stomach aches so bad. And thank you. And I had eaten during the day, and we got out of there, and it was so hot, and we walked outside, and I got really nauseated and just got overheated and started feeling like I was about to pass out. And I said, I gotta go home, and I burst out in tears because I knew I was leaving my family. We'd already waited in line at this point for one of the rides. We had been standing in line for like an hour and a half, and I had to get out of the line and go. And her dad took me back to the condo that we were staying at, and we got back to the condo, and I just felt horrible because I left them. And you know, then that trip ended. We came back home, and a week later, after that trip, what exactly happened there? I don't remember right off the top of my head. How did I end up getting sick? You remember?
I do not.
Oh, I do remember now. That was the time that I started feeling sick again, and my wife. That was the time that I told her, if I don't start feeling better by 12 o'clock on Tuesday, I said, we've got to go to the doctor. And that was the time.
Oh, when you went over to the other hospital.
I went over to my GI.
Yeah.
And he said, I want you to go over to the hospital and have your blood work done, and then come here directly after. He said, there's no point in you coming to the office without your blood work. So I go in to have my blood work done, and then go over to his office, and the first thing he did was look at my lipase numbers. And he went, you gotta go to the hospital. You're probably in pancreatitis again. And now I'm like, what is going on? Now it's been, you know, almost a year since I've drank, and I've got pancreatitis again.
Right.
So they send me over to the hospital. I go there. They do MRIs and everything. They sent all my MRIs down to my doctors in Charleston, and I spent like 4 days at doctor's hospital. And this is in Augusta, Georgia, and they didn't have the doctors to take care of me there either.
So
and
ship again.
They said, we've already sent your stuff to your pancreatic specialist down there, and he needs you to come down now because they need to do a surgery on you. So the doctor gave me a big shot of morphine and said, I never do this, but I'm sending you out here, and your wife can take you down there, because if you have to wait for an ambulance, this might be 2-3 days.
Right.
So she drove me straight from that hospital down to Charleston again, and that's when I got to Charleston, and we waited in the emergency room for like 24 hours. And they kept telling me every day, okay, we're going to do the surgery today. And then they wouldn't let me eat all day long. And then that went on for like a week because they just were so behind. They couldn't fit me in. And then I finally had my first ERCP because they found out I had a blockage in my pancreatic duct. And already knew I had cysts on my pancreas. And were shrinking from each time I had an MRI done. But I had grown more cysts at this point.
Right.
And the other ones had got like one of them was like 6 centimeters long or something.
I don't remember the dimensions, but they said it was bigger.
Yeah, like they had gotten really big, and I had like 5 of them on my pancreas at this point. So they went in there and they put stents into those cysts
to drain them,
to drain the cyst off, and those stents ran from the
stomach into the cyst.
From the cyst to the stomach,
right?
To drain in the stomach. And that's when the process started with all my ERCPs. And at this point, I've had, I think, like 10 of them because they've gone in there multiple times. They didn't put a stent into each cyst. I think they did like one cyst at a time, drained it, and then I would go back. And they were trying to get the pancreas to shrink back down again because it was so inflamed.
Well, he tried to get into the pancreatic duct, but he could not.
Yeah, he could not get in there.
So that's why they were trying to get the thing to shrink down, because they were hoping that by shrinking getting the cyst to reduce would shrink the pancreas enough that they could get through the duct.
Yeah. So over tons of different procedures, they were finally able in September of last year to get one stent into that pancreatic duct,
right.
Which was because I was in a constant state of pancreatitis for months and extreme amount of pain. My back was always hurting, my stomach always hurt. All I was really able to eat at that point was Jell-O and protein shakes, and that's pretty much all I could eat. I don't even think I was really even eating much pudding or anything at that point. I really couldn't consume much of anything because it would just send me into the worst stomach ache in the world. So with all that said, then we moved into, like I said, I've had all these ERCPs done, and now we're here. I've got some more questions here for you. So with everything that happened and all the procedures and everything that I've had at this point, I mean, what's been your basic experience from, with all this? I mean, how do you feel about it all?
Well, I've learned a lot. It's one thing, as we said earlier, I am a nurse, and as a nurse we see things from our perspective in a working environment, but we don't always see it from the patient side. And I think that having gone through all of this with you, it's given me a different perspective and a different understanding as to where patients are, what are they going through. When people come into the hospital, you don't know anything about their background. You don't know what they've been through in life. But now I take a step back and I ask myself, what is that? What is going on that I don't know?
Well, this brings up a really good point, and I've told you, and I actually screenshotted that comment that one of the subscribers sent to me, and she said that she's a nursing instructor,
right,
and that she's going to utilize that video that I made about cirrhosis when we were in the hotel in Charleston for her class. I guess part of their GI instruction or whatever they're going to do. With all the experience that you've had, and you've been a nurse for 33 years, and with the amount of experience that you've had, and from what you've seen from my perspective now, because you've been in the hospital a lot of times with me, and you know that I wasn't seeking any pain medicine or anything like that. I was actually in pain. But you have seen through my eyes, because you've been there, what would you say to a new nurse that's about to go into this, because you've seen the judgment that I've received from nurses when I'm in pain and I've asked for pain medicine, and there's a stigma that's already attached to me because I'm an addict. I'm an alcoholic, which pain meds and pills were never my thing. It just never was. I never got involved in that stuff. What would you say to a new nurse that's getting out into the field for the first time, dealing with someone that's an alcoholic or an addict, and when they're laying there in pancreatitis and in a bunch of pain, because I know that even though as much as they're going to want to try to not pass judgment, we do it every single day. I don't care who you are. We all pass judgment. You know, some of us less than others, or some of us more than others, but it's inherent in our DNA that's going to happen, and we judge. And it might not necessarily be like the worst kind of judgment world, but you're automatically going to have some kind of judgment in your head. And I know a lot of nurses get jaded over time.
They do.
I've talked to my brother about it, you know, people seeking. What would you say to a new nursing student out there about that?
Well, you've heard the phrase, but by the grace of God go I, meaning that you never know what somebody else is going through until you're really in their shoes.
Yeah.
And pain is so subjective. You can't judge what somebody else is feeling based on what your experience is. It's not until you've been there, done that. And the interesting thing is that I can remember you as a little boy, and to be honest with you, your dad and your brother, they have a different pain tolerance, to say, than
pain threshold.
Yeah, than what you did. But I can remember you falling as a little tyke and getting up and brushing off and going right on, and you didn't tend to succumb to the pain.
I remember that day being in the backyard. I must have been like 5-6 years old, and I was out there breaking bricks with a hammer, and I took the hammer and went back like that, and the claws of the hammer went into the back of my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you taking me into the bathroom and washing the blood off of my head in the tub. I mean, I don't remember panicking about that. I remember there was just a bunch of blood everywhere.
Right. So, and my point in all of that is that you were never somebody who whined about pain.
Yeah.
It wasn't, you had a very high tolerance. So for me to see you now, when, like in the hospital, when you were crying because you hurt so bad, I knew that you had to really be in pain. But somebody else who doesn't know you doesn't know that about
exactly.
you.
Yeah. So what would you say to a new up and coming nurse, or somebody that might be in hospice care or something like that, dealing with a situation like that? What would be your recommendation for them?
Don't judge. And doctor's orders are there for a reason, and we follow the doctor's orders. We don't try to make a judgment based on whether that order should be followed or based on our own feelings about it. So,
because and I've talked about this in a previous video, many videos back, basically at the beginning of me starting this channel. The treatment that alcoholics and addicts get in the hospital is not always the best.
No, it isn't. Well, I knew that. I told you that from the get-go.
And the thing that was just really disturbing to me about it is, I am an alcoholic and will be for the rest of my life. I'll never be able to get that. I'll never be able to get away from being an alcoholic. I still think about alcohol sometimes. Still have cravings. I mean, alcohol was the drug that I preferred. I liked the way it made me feel. But I hadn't, like, let's say, for instance, the last time I was in the hospital, it had been a year since I drank. And
still, I mean, you were there for it. I mean, I would have nurses come in the room, and I'm, you know, laying there in tears because I'm hurting so bad, and I would have a nurse come in, and I'd say, please, can I have my pain medicine? And they'd go, no, I don't think you're in enough pain. And they'd get up and leave the room. And, you know, that just really bothered me because I knew that they were like that because they're in their head, they're going, this guy's just an addict. He's just trying to get high.
He's seeking. Yeah.
And, you know, that was one of the things that just really bothered me about some of the time. I'm not saying every nurse did that because I've had some really nice nurses.
And some really good nurses.
Yeah,
yes.
some really good ones that, you know, they didn't judge me at all. But I did have some that would. I remember for one instance, it had been hours past the time that I could have some more medication, and I'd asked the nurse to please come in whenever she had an opportunity, and I think that she was just avoiding coming in the room. But that's just my opinion. But she sent the tech in, and the tech came in and took my blood pressure and everything, and then left. And then the nurse came back in, and I asked her, you know, what's the deal? What's going on? And she said, your blood pressure and your vitals don't indicate that you're in any kind of pain. So sorry. You remember that?
Yeah.
And that's when I complained to the charge nurse, and then next thing you know, the charge nurse took care of me for the rest of that day. But then that same day was the day I think the charge nurse took me, but then she sent one of the newer nurses in. And that's the day that they gave me too much insulin, and I started crashing. What did my blood sugar get down to? Wasn't it like 40 or something like that?
Oh, no, it was like 30.
It was 30?
Yeah.
It kept dropping, and just to give you guys some reference, my blood sugar started to drop, and it was like dropping really rapidly, and I started feeling really bad. I told my mom, I said, something's wrong. Can you please get somebody in here? She went out in the hallway and asked one of the nurses to come in. The tech came in there, you know, thinking everything's okay. She takes my blood sugar, and the next thing you know, I've got like 3 nurses in the room, 2 doctors in there. They're in there starting to panic. My blood sugar kept dropping. I remember the nurse opening up a pack of those glucose tabs and told me to eat all of them. I ate all the glucose tabs. I drank 2 ginger ales, regular with sugar in them. I had a bag. I keep candy on me at all times in case I crashed on my blood sugar. And I had a whole one of those big bags of candy. I ate the whole bag laying there. You went downstairs and got me a sandwich, a chicken salad sandwich on wheat bread. I ate that whole entire sandwich. I was trying to do everything I could to get my blood sugar up, and it would not get up. And it took like quite some time for it to come back up. It was just so scary, but anyway, where are we at right now? We're at 22 minutes, okay. Is there anything else that, you know, that you would want to say to any, like, new nursing students, if there are any of them watching this video at all? You know, anything, you know, that would be related to, you know, alcohol-related diseases or any of that kind of stuff?
No, not that I can think of right now.
Okay. What do you see in, like, my near future?
Well, obviously you're always going to be a diabetic, so you're always going to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Your health problems, while they have improved, they're never ever going to go away. And so your future is always going to be dealing with this. And they've told you now you have chronic pancreatitis. So even if you get the stents come out, the pancreas stays open, you'll probably will develop pancreatitis again in the future.
The doctor has already.
It's not if, it's when.
That's exactly what his words were. He said it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you will get pancreatitis again.
Right.
And I have a feeling it's probably going to happen about once a year. It's probably what's going to end up happening. And, you know, the thing that just, you know, I just talked about this the other day, you know, about, you know, you think that you get 10 steps ahead and then you end up taking 12 steps back because something pushes you back. And, you know, I already know that we're going to get to some point where I might get back financially okay again, and then this is going to hit again, and the next thing you know, I'm right back in the hospital with a ton of hospital bills. And the thing is continuing to drink alcohol in large quantities.
Any alcohol for you. It's not even large quantities.
I can't even drink alcohol. I mean, they've told me that if I ever drink again, that'll be it.
Right.
But I'm just saying for people in general, I mean, the risk outweighs the positives of drinking. I mean, it just really does. That couple of minutes or a couple of hours of relaxation that you get from the alcohol, it's just not worth the consequences to come in on the back end of it, because there's just so many bad things that come along with alcohol consumption. I was just talking with my ENT the other day, and I told you that I was going to interview him. I'm still trying to get that set up, but it's not just your organs that alcohol causes problems with. You can get throat cancer from it. I mean, all kinds of different kind of problems up in your head, your throat, all of this area. I mean, your mouth. You can get mouth cancer from drinking. I mean, just all kinds of problems come along with it. And and the thing is too is it does not just affect the person that is the drinker. I mean, how has alcohol affected your life altogether? I mean, talk to them about how it's affected your life in a positive or negative way.
I can't say that it has affected my life positive way at all. I will say that somehow a lot of the bad things that have happened in my life have been associated with alcohol. My parents being separated and divorced when I was young, that was devastating to me. And why? Because of alcohol. And all the problems that we've had with you since you were a teenager, that's been devastating. So I mean, alcohol has had a lot of bad effects. Yeah, you might feel good. I'm not going to say that I don't have a drink from every now and again and you feel good from it, but what you experience on the back end because of it, it's not worth it. That feel good for a few minutes is not worth it.
Yeah, no, it's not, because the problem with alcohol or any substance is it starts off innocent enough,
right?
But as time goes on, what ends up happening? Well, one, we start building a tolerance,
and so we drink more.
So you drink more, and that 1 or 2 beers or 1 or 2 drinks that used to work for you now is transferred from that to 12 to 14 beers or 6 liquor drinks or whatever it may be. In order to achieve the original goal that you could hit with the 1 or 2, now it's taking this much, and you're putting that much more damage on your body by consuming that much more alcohol.
And what's unfortunate too is that, yes, you were drinking a lot more than I ever realized. And for you, you were put in a situation where you had to stop drinking because of your health at that particular time. But, some people can get away with it longer. And for them, once you've started down that path, it is so hard to backpedal. It is so hard to get out of it.
Yeah, it is.
And I see people in the hospital. I've taken care of a lot of alcoholics that have come in and gone through DTs, and we're trying to help them get through that period. And they come out and they say, never gonna drink again. I'm good now. And they go home, and a couple months later they're back. And we're going through the exact same thing again. So that backpedaling is so hard once you get there.
That brings back up another good point. I don't know if I've told you this or not, but I know I've talked about it on one of the videos, that my GI doctor told me one day he said, because they were trying to get me to go, and you've been there when they've talked to me about going into like AA or some kind of group setting, or
Right.
speaking with therapists, and I told them, no, thank you, I'm not interested. Trust me, I'll never drink again. And they're just trying to help me because they don't want to see me,
Right.
go back. But I lost my point here. What were we talking about again?
About how people keep getting back in
Oh,
that
yeah,
vicious cycle.
The doctor told me, he said, you're a really odd case. Most of my patients who have liver problems or alcoholics or whatever, he said, they'll lay on the table with full-blown ascites, and I'll feel their belly and tell them your liver is not in a good place, and I really hope you're not drinking anymore. He said, and as soon as they get up off the table, they go get in their car and they pull right out of this doctor's office and stop right there at that gas station right on the corner, right down the street, and get a 12-pack of beer on their way home. He said most of them continue to drink. He said probably 90% of his patients that are alcoholics who have liver problems do not stop. And I mean, I guess maybe a lot of people will go, I'm not going to live much longer anyways. What's the point in quitting or whatever? But, at the end of the day, if you are having the problems and you do quit, that's that much damage that you're stopping from happening to your liver.
Right.
And I don't know how much longer you'll prolong the inevitable from happening, but I'm sure, I would imagine that would be significant enough that you might be able to spend a decent more amount of time here, and make connections with loved ones and family and things like that. But you gotta stop, because continuing to drink is just gonna you're just adding gasoline to the fire, and it's just not helping the situation anymore. But anyway, guys, we're at 31 minutes again now. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video, and looks like we're gonna have one more section of this, and that's gonna be it. I'm gonna go ahead and address the subscribers' questions in this next video. So be on the lookout for the next one, and thank you very much for watching this today, guys. I really appreciate it. I love you all. Until the next video, y'all have a great day.